All right, well, great. Oh, I need to turn you back on. All righty. Well, good morning, all, and welcome to Bible class today. We're continuing to look at, there we go, at the Sunday school stories that don't make the lectionary, that we don't always then hear about much. And today we're going to talk about Elijah and the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. All right, and so again, the main characters are Elijah the prophet and King Ahab of Israel. And King Ahab is attested to outside of the Bible. So these things called the Kirk monoliths were discovered in the 1860s that detailed the lives of Neo-Assyrian kings. So from the Neo-Assyrian Empire in the 800-900 BCs. There were two of them detailing the lives of two of these kings, and the monolith about King Shalmaneser III, isn't that a great name? Shalmaneser III. Right, almost German, right. So his monolith describes a battle that took place, the Battle of Karkar, which took place in 853 BC. And at that battle, it's described that he defeated an alliance of kings and nations, including King Ahab of Israel. So there's extra biblical evidence that King Ahab existed.
That's interesting. It's just another
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
plays into
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't.
Yeah. Again, a reminder, that that when we read the Bible, we're reading about real places, real people, real historic. That there is historical accounts that point to and remind us and show us that these things actually happened. All right. And so King Ahab is the son of Omri. And King Ahab rules over the northern kingdom of Israel. So again, we're in the divided kingdom period. After Solomon died, and his son Rehoboam didn't listen to the wise advisors, listened to his young dumb friends, and said, "Sure, let's just tax all the people, and they'll be fine with it." And people weren't fine with it. So the kingdom's divided, and King Ahab's in the northern kingdom. And their capital is Samaria. And again, this is part of why when we get to Jesus' day, the people hate the Samaritans, because the northern kingdom had been the one that went into worshiping other gods more often. Of course, that's the big central point here. And then also, then after the northern kingdom's conquered first, and so they're kind of a mixed race people too. And so that's part of why there's the struggle with the Samaritans, and that Samaria had been the capital, so sometimes it's mentioned that way. So, Gary? So, extra biblical account proof that King Ahab existed. FYI, so.
There's another one.
Yep.
We're up to 23,000 according to Dr. Dwayne Gish.
There we go, yep. But yeah, so he was included in a list of kings defeated in battle by a Neo-Assyrian emperor. So, all right. So King Ahab, and when in doubt, and you may remember this, we went through some of the kings a few years ago in Bible study. That one of the ways you can tell who a good king, who the good kings are and who the bad kings are, is partly A, who they marry, or B, who their mom is. So mothers have big influences, but and so that especially when they married someone from outside the nation of Israel, which they often had to do for political, international relations reasons. And if the wife was that or the mother was that, then they often brought their own gods with them, and so that ends up leading people astray. So King Ahab's wife is Queen Jezebel, another infamous person. And she's the daughter of the king of Sidon. So Tyre and Sidon are the two big port cities in Phoenicia, just north, modern-day Lebanon-ish, just north of Israel. But so Queen Jezebel she's the daughter of the king of Sidon. But he wasn't always king of Sidon. He'd been a priest of Baal before he assassinated the previous king of Sidon and became king himself. So this queen is the daughter of a priest of Baal. What do you think she's going to do? Who do you think she's going to worship? Yeah. So then she leads the people into worshiping Baal and Asherah. And if you remember, I know Pastor Mark's gone through this before. Baal's the kind of Zeus equivalent, thunder, sky god. You worship him, pray for him to make it rain and stuff. And then Asherah is the fertility goddess. And so you also worship her for good crops, good harvest, that kind of thing. And you worshiped her doing things that bring fertility. And so that's why there were temple prostitutes and things. So they were kind of reenacting Baal and Asherah getting together and bringing fertility. And so we find that going on.
Now, is that back from Scripture here, or is it back into those monoliths?
Well, is what from Scripture?
Queen Jezebel.
That is from other sources. We know she's the daughter of the king of Sidon. I don't remember for sure whether the fact that he's a priest of Baal is mentioned in the Bible or not. I found it in one of the commentaries I was looking at. Who Baal and Asherah is comes from Scripture too, because they get mentioned a lot. So, no, good question. All right, and so again, here is. We're in the northern kingdom of Israel, southern kingdom of Judah, and then Tyre and Sidon are right up here. And then the Assyrian Empire, modern day Iraq, they're looming. Again, they keep coming down. Again, part of why David and Solomon were able to make the kingdom of Israel as they were was because it was a time when the Egyptians were kind of weak, the people up here were kind of weak, and the people up here were kind of weak. So no, because otherwise Israel's always right on these crossroads. And so you have all these empires trying to travel through it and conquer it. And they have problems that way. All right. And so then Elijah makes the wicked King Ahab kind of the target of his ministry. And to summarize what had happened before, is Elijah appears on the scene in 1 Kings 17. And what God says is, and again, this is kind of to combat Baal, because the people are worshiping Baal and Asherah. Okay, Baal's the sky god who causes it to rain. So what does God do? Drought. Who has power over the rain, over the wind and the rain and the skies? Is it Baal or is it Yahweh, the one true God? So Elijah announces a drought, and then if you remember too, that then it goes from so he announces the drought, but then of course King Ahab doesn't really like the fact that Elijah's continuing to confront him, and so Elijah that's when he goes and stays with the widow at Zarephath, the widow whose flour and oil don't run out, again, despite drought and famine. And then he raises her son from the dead. Oh. Yeah. And part of why then, so Elijah again, he first goes to this brook, the Kidron, the Kerith brook, and then he goes up to Zarephath in Phoenicia, which is out of the boundaries of Israel, and so out of King Ahab's reach.
So the drought was mainly
The drought was mainly in Israel, but it's affecting this area too, because that's part of why then when Elijah shows up, widow says, okay, we've got this much oil and flour, we're going to bake it and eat it, and then we're going to die because we don't have anything else. And then the flour container and oil jug don't run out while Elijah's there. So, all right. Yeah, so again here, Elijah provided a miraculous supply of flour and oil for the widow who fed him. And that's in 1 Kings 17:16. All right, and then, okay, they fix the starvation thing, and then the son gets sick and dies, and then Elijah is able to, through the power of God, raise him from the dead and give him back to her. All right. So then after 3 years of drought, Elijah goes to confront Ahab again. Okay, let's see if he's figured this out. 3 years of drought. You all been sacrificing the Baal, that ain't doing nothing. Let's see if you figured out maybe who you should be praying for. But when Elijah goes to meet with Ahab, first he meets Obadiah, who is in charge of Ahab's household. He might be, we're not really sure whether he is the Obadiah who wrote the book of Obadiah, because there's something like 19 Obadiahs mentioned in the Old Testament. And so could be him, could not. But so Obadiah is in charge of Ahab's household, which means he's again working for this wicked king and wicked queen, but who were supporting the prophets of Baal and the prophets of Asherah. Talked about the Bible talks specifically about that they're invited and eat at their table. So, they've got the royal support. And they've been persecuting and trying to kill the prophets of God, of Yahweh. But Obadiah, using his position as head of the household of them, then did what he could to hide the prophets of God, hiding them in groups of 50s in caves and bringing them food and water when he came. So.
That dangerous.
This isn't the same Obadiah, but there's a book in the Old Testament.
What?
Isn't there a book Obadiah?
There is. No, there's 19. It might be. We're not sure. There's 19 different Obadiahs mentioned in the Old Testament, so it could be him, but we're not sure. Because the book of Obadiah doesn't include necessarily enough biographical information to fully go. I, Obadiah, chief of the household of King Ahab, am writing this prophetic book. If he did that, that would be great and we'd know it, but he didn't.
Plus the timing.
And the timing and things, right? Yeah. So, all right. So again, Obadiah, chief of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel's household, but he's able to use that influence to protect these other prophets. So, how did God use Obadiah in his sphere of influence? And should he have done more? Or should he have, resigned his position and refused to work for the wicked king?
Well, it's kind of like the 7 questions you had in the sermon. It's down to, are you willing to go to jail? Are you willing to maybe be killed? Because, if we went farther, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Probably.
Right.
The king's going to...
Right, yeah. So does he keep his position and admittedly keep his own skin, but sneak around and do what he can that way, or should he have just resigned and I can't work for this evil administration anymore and gone away?
He could have lost his job.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if Ahab and Jezebel figure out what he's done, then he could lose his job or his life.
Would he then have the same access to the same stuff to be able to take it to his friends?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Right.
What if he had killed Ahab and
Or what if he wicked rulers, what's my role as resistance to be able to do that? And, yeah. Well,
it seems like he chose the better path, was at least keeping those prophets alive.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah. Although again, the problem with killing King Ahab and Queen Jezebel is who comes next. That's always always a challenge. I mean, we see assassinations and regime changes like that happen throughout this period of the history of Israel. But yeah, sometimes the evil you know is better than the evil you don't. The next guy might be worse. So, all right. Oh. Can we click back so my clicker will work again, Tyler? Great, thank you. All right, so then we finally get to here is the biblical story of the confrontation of with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. Could someone start reading this for us? So Elijah finally meets Ahab, again after 3 years of drought.
When Ahab saw Elijah, Ahab said to him, "Is it you, you troubler of Israel?"
Isn't that a great prophetic title? Troubler of Israel, yep. Okay. Hey Norman, it's not clicking. All right.
And he answered, "I have not troubled Israel, but you have, and your father's house, because you've abandoned the commandments of the Lord and followed the Baals. Now therefore send and gather all Israel to me at Mount Carmel, and the 450 prophets of Baal and the 400 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table." So Ahab said to all the people of Israel and gathered the prophets together at Mount Carmel. Elijah came near to all the people and said, "How long will you go limping between two different opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him." And the people did not answer a word.
All right. So after 3 years, it doesn't appear that Ahab's attitude has changed at all, and he blames Elijah for the situation that Israel is in. All right, so why does Ahab try and shift the blame to Elijah? You troubler of Israel, why, it's your fault that we've been in a drought for 3 years.
That's a pretty standard thing to do.
Yeah.
Shift the blame.
Shift the blame. Yeah, leadership 101, right? There you go. True then, true now. Right. Do we do that sometimes ourselves too? Try and shift the blame? Again, that's first sin. God finds Adam and Eve in the garden where this woman you gave me, her fault. Nope, that's snake. His fault. Yep, pass the blame. Pass the buck. Yep. All right. And again, we live in a culture where people say, you've got your God, that's great for you. I've got my God, that's great for me. So how does Elijah challenge that type of thinking with his contest and with this question as he's talking to the people of Israel? All right, you got to choose. Are you following God or are you following Baal? Because
how long are you going to do this?
Yeah, they're trying to do both. Every so often, atheist skeptics will talk about how, Bible's not true because we do these archaeological digs in Israel and we find all these idols in these houses. So the Bible can't be true because they were all worshiping these other gods. We're like, no, the Bible tells us that they're worshiping these other gods. They should have been exclusively worshiping Yahweh God, but they were not. So the fact that we find idols in their houses is not surprising. But yeah, they want to hedge their bets. And again, Yahweh is a jealous God. You worship him and him alone. All the other gods, so we got a whole pantheon of things. Just add one more. Why not?
Right.
All good. Yeah, Connie.
So maybe I missed this. Was Ahab true to God before he married Jezebel?
Not much, if he was.
But he was supposedly under the covenant until then.
Right. So again, the kings of Israel and the northern kingdom were the ones that went the most astray. Because, again, early on after the division, and I can't remember which king it is, but he goes, well, wait a minute. We've divided the kingdom, but all my people still keep going to Jerusalem to worship at the temple there. We can't have that, because that's going to make them think maybe it should be United Kingdom again. So I'm going to set up a couple other worship spots here in Samaria and some other high places. And again, it starts out as you can worship God, Yahweh God, but you can worship him on this mountain in Samaria, not at the temple in Jerusalem. And then they go, well, let's use these cows to represent God, so we have something to pray to. And, well, let's toss in a Baal too. Why not? Just, one-stop shop. Do your worship smorgasbord here. So, yep. All right, again, we may not worship other gods, but can we easily slide into our own forms of idol worship? What does that look like, and how can we resist the temptation to worship things other than God?
Well, I just saw this morning, you think in terms of, I wish I was more fit, and I wish I was doing this, and I wish I was doing that, and why? So that I would look better, why? Live long, okay, why? But there's probably 1,000 people right now in a triathlon during church, right now in Ames.
Oh, yeah.
Biking, swimming, running.
Yep.
I saw the pylons.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's, I don't want it to sound mean, and most of them maybe don't have that motivation, but a few, it's all about me.
It's the problem isn't worshiping statues as much as idols anymore, but we're really good at taking good things and making them idols.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned in my sermon, that part of why Jesus is saying this is going to cause division, and that if you love your father or mother more than me, or if you love your children more than me, then that's a problem. Because again, we can take these good things and make them into idols. And so we can take our health and make it into an idol. That if only I can do these exercises and keep getting the best time, then people will like me, I will live a long and fruitful life, and those sorts of things. Right? Any other ideas or thoughts of idols?
By the way, I really like the definition that you clarified in the sermon of wording that, because those verses have always bothered me. That it almost sounded like Jesus said, I came here to divide.
Yeah.
Because I came here, there will be.
Because I came right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it might be from Pastor Mathis's sermon notes that I got that from, because he was always better at Greek grammar than me. But that's why I have smart friends, so I don't have to know everything. Yeah, Paul.
These 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah, were they from the nation of Israel, or did Jezebel bring them in from
Probably a mix. Probably a mix. So, but yeah, no, that's a good question, and it's not super clear, but my guess is a mix.
Well, further on in the story, we find out that Elijah was the only one that was true to God. So
Well, that's what he claims, but yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, because that's, well, after this, we get to where Elijah will say that. Oh, yeah. Hey, you're just a verse ahead of me. I was thinking that was more in the depressed Elijah that comes after this, but.
Well, if there were like 450 of one and 400 of another, how could all of them fall away? How could it be that much of a disaster?
Right, and so and again, Obadiah is hiding 100 prophets, but I guess either Elijah doesn't know that Obadiah has been hiding these 100 prophets, or he doesn't necessarily care or think they're as faithful as he is, or he's just exaggerating for dramatic effect here. But yeah. All right, can someone read this? Do you want to read this, Paul, as long as you started talking about it?
Then Elijah said to the people, I, even I only, am left a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let 2 bulls be given to us, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire to it. And I will prepare the other bull, and lay it on the wood, and put no fire to it. And you can call upon the name of your God, and I will call upon the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he he is God. And all the people answered, it is well spoken. Then Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose for yourself one bull and prepare it first, for you are many, and call upon the name of your God, but put no fire to it. And they took the bull that was given to them, and they prepared it and called upon the name of Baal from morning until noon, saying, O Baal, answer us. But there was no voice, and no one answered. And they limped around the altar that they had made. And at noon Elijah mocked them, saying, cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is musing, or he is relieving himself, or he is on a journey. Or perhaps he is asleep and must be awakened. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their custom with the swords and lances until the blood gushed out upon them. And as midday passed, they raved on until the time of the offering of the oblation, but there was no voice. No one answered. No one paid attention.
All right. So what do the prayers of the prophets of Baal reveal about the God they believe in?
Either he can't act or he doesn't hear.
Yeah.
He seems to, the God seems to have other things he does.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's Elijah mocking the prophets. Very good. Yes. That. Oh, yeah. Maybe he's sleeping. Maybe he's using the restroom. And must be busy. You know. You called in, got the busy signal. Too bad. Keep trying. Again, mocking the fact that either that Baal seems to have no power that they're claiming him to have. So. All right, then could someone read this next part?
Then Elijah said to all the people, come near to me. And all the people came near to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down. Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be your name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord. And he made a trench about the altar, as great as would contain 2 sheaves of seed. And he put the wood in order and cut the bowl in pieces and laid it on the wood. And he said, fill 4 jars with water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. And he said, do it a second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And the water ran around the altar and filled the trench also with water. And at the time of the offering of the oblation, Elijah the prophet came near and said, O Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Answer me, O Lord, answer me, that this people may know that you, O Lord, are God, and that you have turned their hearts back. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt offering and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their knees and said, the Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God.
All right. So this is a stained glass window from a Lutheran church in Virginia, I think it was, that kind of depicts the fire from heaven coming down on the altar. And a couple other pictures there. All right. So what do the prayers of Elijah reveal about the God he believes in?
Yes.
Yeah. And the results of the prayer, that God answers, right? Anything else?
He's always paying attention.
God's always paying attention, right? Yeah. How did Elijah phrase his request? What's to God and what's the goal? Here, let me go back to that. Yeah. So how is he phrasing it, and what's his goal here?
That I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word.
Yep. I have done everything that you've commanded, and then that you're doing, God, I ask you to do this, God, so that your people may know, again, you are God, and and their hearts will turn back to you.
That would have done it for me.
Right? Yeah? Yeah, Connie.
Praise that the Lord will devour the offering, so the people of Israel will believe that He is God, not that He's trying to win over
Right.
the
Yeah.
opinions of King Ahab and Israel.
Yeah.
So He's actually doing it for the Israelites,
Yeah.
not for
Right.
Ahab's
Yep.
group.
All right. And what was significant about the altar he uses? And remember how he, what does he do? Builds an altar with 12 stones for the 12 tribes, and then you've got 4 jars of water that are poured on 3 times, another 12. See, every so often we have to do math in the Bible, sorry. But, yeah, so 12, and then again it's not just God sending fire from heaven, and this is all dry and kindling and a sparkle to it. This stuff is soaked. It's going to take a miracle for it to catch on fire. All right. And then here's what happens afterwards. Can someone read this?
And Elijah said to them, "Seize the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape." And they seized them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon, and slaughtered them there. And Elijah said to Ahab, "Go up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of the rushing of rain." So Ahab went up to eat and to drink, and Elijah went up to the top of Mount Carmel, and he bowed himself down on the earth and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, "Go up now, look toward the sea." And he went up and looked and said, "There is nothing." And he said, "Go again 7 times." And at the 7th time he said, "Behold, a little cloud like a man's hand is rising from the sea." And he said, "Go up, say to Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down, lest the rain stop you." And in a little while the heavens grew black with clouds and rain, and there was a great rain, and Ahab rode and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he gathered up his garments and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel.
All right. So God answers Elijah's prayers, and the people respond by declaring that the Lord is God. So, there's a time that God's clearly responded to one of your prayers. Sometimes it's helpful. It's been a while since I've done it. But kind of keep a list of what you're praying for, and then kind of keep that up, and then kind of mark when the prayer is answered. There's a way to kind of look back and go, "Oh wait, these things I was worried about, God took care of them." And so, all right. So, all right. Since we're just about out of time. As I was starting to get this ready, I happened to see this come across on my Facebook feed. The Babylon Bee, it's kind of a Christian-ish satire site. Their headline, Baal returns from the bathroom to find all his prophets dead.
So he was in the bathroom.
He was in the bathroom, right? All right. All right, and then following this triumph, you get this again, and this next story is pretty familiar to us too, and is that so Elijah's just won this contest. The people of Israel know who God is, and then Ahab gets back to Jezebel. Jezebel says, "Well, we better take care of Elijah," and so then Elijah flees into the wilderness, and we're told he flees. I mean, it's about as far as he can go, and then he prays to die because he's so depressed and that he, okay, I'm still the only one left. after this great thing, now what? And then the angel says, you're not yourself when you're hungry, here's a Snickers bar. Gives him some manna and water, and then he goes further into the wilderness. So when in doubt, if you're feeling upset, to have a snack, take a nap. That's what God told Elijah to do, and his outlook improved. And then he goes into the wilderness, and then we get the God appearing in the still small voice, who says, "You're not alone." There's all these prophets that Obadiah has been hiding. There's a few thousand that haven't bowed their knee to Baal. So now, go back, anoint these people as kings, and go get Elisha. You need a partner to make sure you don't get depressed like this again. And you need the extra help. So go get Elisha, go get these other guys, and go back to work. And that's what happens. So, all right. Any final thoughts, questions, comments there? All right. Yeah, Connie.
We did have that story in Sunday school when I was a kid.
Oh, good. Yeah.
The contest, those only the contests.
Only the
not
contest.
background.
Yeah. They didn't mention the bathroom part?
No, I don't remember that. We did have, I do remember the story.
I do too.
Yeah.
They should have had that in there. That would make a great junior. Don't you think junior high kids would pay more attention when they go, oh, no, Baal, I just said Baal's in the bathroom. They didn't pick out of that, right?
The stories of
Yeah.
the drama of the
Yeah.
New Testament and where God
Yeah.
showed his power and
Yeah.
miracles.
All righty. Sounds good. You're welcome.
This is
So,
a good one.
yep.